Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Ninja Turtle and today we have something special. Been working on this for not terribly long, but I had this in my mind to do for quite a while and finally getting around to it. I made a bunch of extra Sentinels to go with the Bastion that came with the Hasbro HasLabs big Sentinel. So if you don't know, the Hasbro made a gigantic Sentinel that goes all the way up like past my knee, almost towards my hip in size. Came out in about September. You had to order it ahead of time, about a year. Cost several $100s. It's very expensive now to buy from third hand. Anyway, it came packed with a Bastion figure, which is in the middle. So this is what you get when you get that big Sentinel. You get the Bastion figure, and then you get an additional head sculpt for a regular Prime Sentinel male, and then you get a female body and the female Prime Sentinel, like a whole figure. But obviously you don't get all of this, so I wanted to make a little bit more for him so you can have a little bit more of an army. You can have some set pieces fighting X-Men, just to make use of the extra head, so I don't have to do head swaps with the Bastion body, and just making more ladies because I like ladies. So there's that. So we'll go into all of that, what makes all of these customs tick. So obviously, again, I didn't do anything to the Bastion. I wanted this body to be the Bastion body. I like it just fine. Sure, Bastion's had multiple looks over the years. I don't care. This is fine for me, as I didn't bother trying to recreate Bastion on its own. But we will go over each one. Mostly similar. I mean, similar enough builds. They're not all that different in general. A bunch of blacks, but I'll cover that on each of them on a basis by for each figure. We'll start with the male one because that's obviously the most boring. So let's go ahead and cover that. Okay, so we have the custom made male Prime Sentinel body. Again, it's going to be I wanted to not have to swap constantly for the rest of my life with the Bastion figure, because they only gave us the head but no separate body. So we have a separate body. Very simple and straightforward. Even a caveman can do this custom because I didn't put much love or care into it whatsoever. The entire body is already a black body of black plastic, so I didn't need to do anything special with sanding or trying to assemble from different figures or anything like that. It is a black figure. Which one in particular? It is the Human Torch, this one. So all of the blue on this body for the Human Torch and the symbol and stuff, I just removed it with nail polish remover, 100% acetone. So this entire body on the Sentinel is this exact body for this Human Torch figure, with the only exception being the feet, because on the Human Torch figure it has like cleats. It's just like a really weird looking shoe, but they're like cleated bottoms, and I didn't want that. It looks really weird, especially for a Sentinel figure. So that's the only real additional or piece that came from a different figure. The one I used in particular was this Deadpool figure. It's the same body mold, and I just took these blue feet and put them on there, painted them black. That's it. Everything else is just the same body. I did do a little bit of painting of black on the body because of some of the smearing from trying to remove the paint, and just wanted it to all look a little bit more cleaner. So there was a little bit of sanding and a little bit of smearing, a little bit of painting on the black, but not that much. So obviously we have the only real sculpting and all that. Let's get this a little closer. On the upper torso, around the shoulders and chest, it's just epoxy sculpt. There's nothing special to it whatsoever. It's just epoxy sculpt going around the backside, and just repainted, primed and repainted. My goal was to try to get this color to match the color of that came on the actual sculpt, the actual head, and I didn't match it, obviously, but it's close enough for me, and you really can't tell a difference from a distance. So when sitting on my shelf, I really I don't notice that whatsoever. So yeah, I don't care that much again. But I did try my best. I didn't touch or modify the head whatsoever, so that is exactly the way it comes out of the box. And this is just a basic Prime Sentinel design. I did look it up online. There are some that look just as basic as this, so that's all that I wanted. That's all that I cared for. As far as the actual color, though, I did a custom mix. It is a little bit of red, a little bit of blue, and a little bit of actually silver, so I can give it a metallic sheen. It doesn't really translate all that well, in my opinion. Like, you can't. When I was mixing the red and the silver, it still looked pretty metallic, but once I got the blue in there, that's when it started to lose the metallic sheen. But it's in there, trust me. But other than that, that's the basic male Prime Sentinel. Let's start covering the actual head sculpt that came also with the box, the actual HasLab Sentinel, and then we'll go later on into my fuller customs. Alright, so this head sculpt is the head as well as the top that comes with the actual HasLab's Sentinel. This is the female body. However, this is not the rest of the body, so I actually did make modifications, but it's not nearly as complex as you might think. So again, they're all black, but the black that default comes with, like, the body and stuff, that black color that comes on the female Sentinel, as well as like with Bastion, it's a little off black. It's almost like a dark gray, a gunmetal black, if you will, type of color. It's not quite the same as a deep black, but I wanted a deeper, darker black for this figure in particular. So everything actually from the feet, the legs, the thighs, and the lower torso all come from a completely different figure that is already black plastic, that I did not have to do any modifications or do any painting or any sculpting or anything like that. Which one in particular? Well, first off, like I said, this figure already had all of those legs and stuff that were a little off black, but I swapped those legs out. So the legs, the feet, the thighs actually are the same ones that come on this brand new Shriek figure. So they are the actual pinless ones on this figure, on my new custom. So these are the pinless legs. And I just wholesale just took them right off of the Shriek figure completely. And it did no modifications whatsoever. The lower torso is not the same, though. It is actually a torso that came from the, if I remember correctly, it's actually from the X-Force Psylocke, the Amazon exclusive Psylocke that is in black and whatever color that was. But it's a black torso, and I did not do any painting or any modifications whatsoever. I'm not going to say you have to use that if you want to do the same thing. The torso that comes on that figure is the exact same one that's this one here. It's just a little bit lighter of a black color. So I just made the swap. If you have a hard time, if you really want that black, you got this also. This is the Emma Frost at Walgreens. Emma Frost. It's also a pure black plastic, but it just has a little bit of flesh tone strip right there. You can just remove that, and then you can use this torso if you like. Instead of sacking a whole Psylocke. That being said, the hands, arms, shoulders, the upper torso, and the head are the exact same that came with the Prime Female Sentinel figure from right out of the box, but I did repaint them as a full black as opposed to leaving it the same. I wanted the blacks to match because, again, I want it pure black, not off black. Although the black that I painted is a little darker than the black plastic, but it's still, from a distance, you can't tell. But just repainted it black just so it can match everything, but they are the same arms. I did hope maybe you noticed, but maybe you didn't know because maybe you don't have this figure, but I did add some sculpt on the breast. She does have breast enhancements. I made her chest bigger. I made it more round. I made it more pronounced because that's what I wanted. The chest default is pretty small considering, especially considering other body molds that Hasbro's made for other figures, other female figures. So I just made it bigger. It's hard to see because it's black, but she is enhanced. So she has a little bit more on there. I had to sand that down and paint it up black, obviously. And then everything else is unchanged from this little metal piece, the purple metal piece on her chest, all the way to her neck, and all of that coloring. That's unchanged, unmodified, unpainted. Everything is the exact same way that it was. And then I added this accessory, which comes from the Retro Dazzler. I have a lot of these accessories, so I was able to give them to all of the female Sentinels so that you can all have it. I can give one to the male Sentinel too if I really wanted to, but I have plenty of these, so they all got it. So that is how this one is built. Next up, let's talk about actually, let's do this full one here. Let's do this one because I like this one, but it's not my favorite one. My favorite one is the one I'm saving for last, obviously. So this one here is relatively a full-on custom. It was fully painted up and down, relatively. So remember how I said the legs from the last one, the actual out of the box Sentinel were in, the whole body was a little bit off black. So I used those legs on this Sentinel. So I just again used the Shriek legs on the one that I just did. These have the Pinless legs. These are old school regular legs, the legs that actually came on the box female Sentinel, and they are repainted to a gunmetal black. Even though they were already gunmetal black, I wanted to make sure that the paint that I had to use on all of the arms and stuff matched the paint the color that's on the legs. So they were repainted gunmetal black. And then the shoes are swapped out too. They're still flats, they're just basic flats, but the feet on the legs that these came from, they're a little bit smaller, and I don't like that for a big tall figure like this. So I just made her have different flats that are a little bit bigger, but that's not really a big deal. The torso is actually the same torso, the upper and lower torso, as the Shriek figure. So I pretty much use this entire figure for these couple of builds, with the exception of the pinless double jointed elbows. I like these Shriek arms, these pinless double jointed elbows. I do like them a lot, but I decided to not use them for any of these because these are just kind of like jobber female, just to stand in. I didn't want to, like, if a character I'm more passionate about that I want to use these on, I actually already have an idea who I'm going to be using these pinless double jointed elbows on. More on that later. But I didn't want to use them on the Sentinel. So these are just regular basic Kate Bishop arms that were already black. I don't remember which character I grabbed them from, but it doesn't really matter. There's plenty of black arms out there. Or just paint them black. And then still using that same color from the last thing, but this one's fully painted. So again, the upper and lower torso are from that Shriek figure that are already black, and I just needed to repainted the gunmetal black color. Added some sculpt here in the chest, right there on the underneath the chest there, to get some extra detail. Make this one a little bit more unique, but I wanted the sculpt on her chest to be similar to how this one looked. I wanted this one to be just like an enhanced version of the default box look for the female Prime Sentinel. So we have a little bit of sculpt in there with like some holes. There you go, get a little focus. The neck has some detail sculpted on there. I did a poor job of that, but the paint kind of makes up for that. It doesn't look too bad, but it is painted all the way around and in the back of the neck as well. Again, using the Dazzler effect piece. And now let's talk about her head. So we've got a couple things going on there. We've got, first off, the head that I used. It didn't matter to me. Like, I just needed a head, and I have, been doing these customs for as long as I have. I have a bunch of extra heads that I haven't used yet, and one of those is this the Brie Larson head for Captain Marvel. Let's maybe move this back some so you can get focused here. The Brie Larson head from the Captain Marvel wave. So that's what this head is. It is actually this head. It does not look at all like this anymore because of all of the modifications. But yeah, I have a bunch of these heads, and I just wanted to use it for something, and finally I found a reason to use this head. So this is Captain Marvel basically, and repainted, and then I added Sculpt to again try to match the same type of head that is the same one coming out of the box for the female Prime Sentinel. And then we have her hair, which I hope again, I have a lot of customs, and I have never used the Polaris hair for anything. It's kind of hard to find a reason to, so I decided to go with the Polaris hair. Yeah, there we go. I can see a little better now. So it is this hair on the Brie Larson head, and the hair is just repainted black. I was thinking about keeping it green, but just the way the hair is shaped on the head with this the little headband thing, I needed to fill that space in, so I would have had to have painted the green over green, and it wouldn't have matched. So I just said, just give her black hair. Screw it. And she has a hot pink color hairband, so there's that. But it is the Polaris hair. It works just fine. Not the prettiest figure in the world. I wasn't really going for that. It's not really important here. I just wanted to use a head. One thing that you may not notice, and all that, but on the female Prime Sentinels, they don't have ears. At least from what I saw in comic book images, they don't have ears. So I actually had to sand off her ears on that head sculpt. So this figure does not have ears. So I sanded all of that off. And let's now move into the one that I like the most, which would be my last one here, this female Prime Sentinel. This is basically a Moonstone body mold. So I had a Kate Bishop style body mold. I had the Psylocke Emma Frost style body mold for the torso, and now we have a Moonstone style body mold. So in particular, this torso is a Black Cat, the retro Black Cat, just because it's all black. Again, I try to do as little painting as possible so we can find black plastic out there and then just piece it all together. It makes life a lot easier. No paint rub. So there's all of that. So everything on here is all black plastic from the lower torso on down. The only thing that is worth noting is that yes, the lower torso is from the Black Cat, and so are the thighs, but the actual lower legs, the calf area and the feet, are not from that Black Cat, because the Black Cat, I don't know, either I used them already, or maybe because of the white sculpt on there. I'm not 100% sure, but I had to use this Miss Marvel, the classic Carol Danvers Miss Marvel on the Moonstone body mold, and use those lower legs here. And, I could have used Jocasta as well, but these are already black, and I was already going to remake this figure, because all of my Carol Danvers figures are on a Kate Bishop style, and I'd like them to all have the same body molds because it's the same character. So I was already going to fodder this anyway. I'm going to be using this sash on the new Miss Marvel when I make it, which will be relatively soon, and I'll save the rest of the body molds for some other character. But that is that. And as far as the upper torso goes, that also is from the Black Cat. So I'll just go and zoom in a little bit here. There we go. So the upper torso is also from the Black Cat figure, the retro Black Cat, as well as these shoulders and biceps, the arms, but the forearm is not, because again the black cat has all that sculpt on there for the hair on her arm. So I just swapped that out with arms that came from a Shikla figure that are, it's already black. Again, try not to do any painting here. It doesn't look amazing up close, but from afar it doesn't look bad. It works. They do bend. They properly function. It fits in there just fine. It just looks a little bit awkward. The blacks don't match perfectly, but match good enough to where it doesn't matter all that much. So this one doesn't have any sculpt on her chest or on her back or anything like that. It's just painted on everything. The Dazzler effect piece. Now going back, let's talk about her head, her face. So this head was actually, because I had already foddered it, it's the same head that goes on here. It is, once again, Captain Marvel, but this is the comic book version. It's Miss Marvel, I should say, Carol Danvers. So that's what this head is. I don't have a whole lot of uses for that head because it only fits on, well, it fits best on this upper torso, on the moon style sculpt. So I just went ahead and just used it. So it's not me being, I am actually a huge Captain Marvel Carol Danvers fan, but coincidentally is why I use these two heads for this stuff. It had nothing to do with me having some sort of favoritism towards Carol, but I do have favoritism towards Carol. Anyway, there's a little bit of sculpt here. It's a different style than the previous versions of the heads that I use for the female Prime Sentinels. This one's just, well, it is what it is. That's how I did it. That's what I decided. I did use examples from stuff I've seen online. Again, sanded off her ears so she has no ears, and painted black back here as opposed to continuing a flesh tone color or going with the purple. And I like the black a lot more. I think it looks a lot cleaner back there, and it makes the head look more presentable as well. And lastly, her hair. Her hair is White Rabbit. It's from the White Rabbit figure, with obviously the ears being cut off and sanded down and smoothed out so that way it doesn't look awkward, and then light brown paint for the hair color, and that's it. Very simple. It took a long time because I did all 4 of these customs all in the same day as far as painting goes, and just planning it out for a little while, like a week. So it's still a quick custom and a whole lot of just getting the right body parts to fit and getting the right color, but a lot of fun to make. So I was very pleased, and I'm glad to have an army. I have no idea where I'm going to put all these because this is like literally 5 figures, and I don't have the shelf space for this. I really don't, but I don't have the shelf space for any of the customs I make, and I still do it anyway. So thanks for joining me. Make sure you like and subscribe. I do have more content on the way. I have already begun preparations for my next batch of customs. So if you've seen my previous videos talking about what I'm going to be making for 2022, I've already started the sanding process and removing paint as of the recording of this video, and I'll be starting to sculpt and paint very soon. So you should be able to see videos on that stuff coming up within the next, I don't know, week or 2. And yes, I did say I'm going to be remaking, I'm not making this right now, but I am going to be remaking this Carol Danvers Miss Marvel relatively soon, just not in the immediate future. But I will be doing this, and I'm going to be using these pinless double jointed arms on that figure, and I think it's going to look amazing. So hopefully that'll turn out really, really nicely, and you'll see that video as well when I get it done. Until next time, thanks for joining me. Make sure you jump on over to my Twitch channel. I'm still not 100% sure if I actually want to continue streaming, so if I get some more followers over there and people watching, I'll keep streaming my builds and my paints and all of that for all of these customs. And if not, then I'll just keep it here on YouTube. So I do appreciate the views. I haven't made videos in a while. I appreciate the views I've been getting and subscribers I've been getting over the last couple of months. More content is on the way very soon. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.